Voltron Network.
What's good, Mo? We are back. I'm Eddie Santonio.
And I'm Mo.
And this is Let's Talk. This week, it's going to be originals versus a remake. So this time we're doing Infernal Affairs, the Hong Kong crime classic from 2002 versus The Departed, Martin Scorsese's crime classic. Whew, this is a hell of a ride with these two films, man. It's been a long time since I've seen either of them.
I don't think I've seen The Departed since it came out originally. In fact, the original copy that I had of this was bought on HD DVD.
So when we were doing this rewatch, you, for some reason, decided to go and watch The Departed first rather than Infernal Affairs. Why'd you go that route?
So I was very familiar already with Infernal Affairs, having seen it several times since it's come out. I'd only seen The Departed once, and I remember not enjoying it. So I did not want to basically watch Infernal Affairs, which I think is the superior movie, then watch what I thought was the less superior film and be biased. So I thought, you know what? Let's come at it fresh.
Okay, before we get deep into it, do you still feel Infernal is the superior version?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is interesting now because I'm hands down saying that The Departed is superior.
No, and I'm going to tell you why now as well. Why?
Bounds. But let's start with Infernal Affairs 2002 with a budget of 6.5 million. And I don't think what I was looking up was showing the proper worldwide gross, or at least it doesn't show China, because it's hard to believe that a movie that was 6 million to make only made 8 million worldwide gross. It had to have made more than that, considering the impact it had. Because this was a big deal when it came out.
8 million? No, it must have made way more than that. That would have been a financial flop.
Yeah, because this was a big deal when it came out.
Oh yeah, it was a very, very big deal.
It's one of those few sort of non-martial art Chinese films that actually made a global impact. People were talking about it. Like, have you seen Infernal Affairs? It's awesome.
Well, it says here on the Wikipedia page that it made 55.1 HK dollars. No idea how much that translates to.
Either. But let's get into it, man. You got Andy Lau as Inspector Lau Kim Ming. You have Tony Leung.
Yep.
Anthony Wong as the police chief. And Eric Zhang as the crime boss. So Mo, what is it that you loved about this film that made you watch it millions of times? For me, I was actually, before you get into it, before I end up cutting you off, I was actually surprised that this was only 2002. For some reason, I thought it was older. I thought I was...
Oh, no.
90s.
No. Although certainly looking at some of the technology, it certainly looks as though it's in the 90s.
It does.
I wouldn't say I've seen it a million times. I've probably seen it a handful of times. I think it was the first foreign film that I actually watched that made me think, oh, you know what? There's probably a whole world out there beyond Hollywood where there are great films. And, prior to that, all I'd really seen were like Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's the style. Regardless of which one you think is better, this really shows the limitations of Scorsese as a director. He's a great storyteller.
What?
He's a great storyteller, but if you compare the two, Infernal Affairs is far better visually.
Far
better visually.
Like
absolutely.
Visually, it has more of a noirish flair to it.
Yeah.
But it looks limited, looks budget for that's why I thought it was older, because
so you're doing it from a budgetary point of view, right? I'm talking purely from an aesthetic directorial.
The way it's made, it just looks dated. Like the way it does these weird sort of slow motions, but not at a good frame rate that the slow motions are smooth.
That doesn't date the movie. That's the style. Yeah, that's the whole aesthetic of the film.
It was fine when I saw it, but looking back at it, it just makes it feel like it's 10 years older than it is.
No. It still looks like $1 million picture. Not literally.
And I did love this film.
Yeah.
Always did, even when I first saw it. But with this rewatch, I was surprised that it only really, for me, became enjoyable with this rewatch halfway through.
Really?
It really became cat and mouse. The first half of it, I was surprised to feel like I was actually bored. I was looking at I was grabbing my phone, grabbing my tablet.
Oh, Eddie, you've become part of the Fast and Furious generation.
It just didn't hold. It just wasn't getting to it. Like the whole stuff of them in the sound in the music store buying their.
That was a fantastic scene. That is a great opening scene. That just like it's so layered that you have these two guys. If you take away like their whole stories and who they are, they're just two guys sitting in a store talking about like
They
music
like
equipment.
music. They like good amps.
Yeah,
I always wanted
yeah,
to really listen to something on one of those sort of glass
yeah.
cylinder amps. I've never had that opportunity to really know if there's a legit difference.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever listened to anything on one of those.
They just look
No.
their break though. Like they're just soon turn up
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
explode.
Do you see at the end where the guy comes to fit the stereo? You don't see him, but he literally leaves the amp and all that just sitting on the floor, like it's been professionally all set up, but it's all
That's
just
it.
on the floor.
Boom, right there. All you gotta do is
Yeah.
plug in.
Oh, it was little things like that that I absolutely loved. I love the fact that unlike The Departed, they don't delve into like the backstory that you don't really need to know, and they did make the mistake of going and making a sequel that delved into that, which was just rubbish.
Two sequels.
Well, one was a prequel,
Mm.
and obviously then the other one was a sequel. So if you look at The Departed, it's almost an amalgamation of like all three films.
That's what actually I think it was Andy Lau, his comment on what he thought of The Departed.
Yes,
He thought
yes.
they just crammed too
Everything
much. He
into
thought it
it.
was too long. What? Are you mad?
It is too long. It's 15 minutes longer than the movie that
Dude,
it's based on.
like I said, like I
Yeah,
was distracted
yeah,
halfway through, like up until the halfway point with
yeah.
Infernal. That was not the case with Departed. I was in from the beginning, edge of
Oh,
my seat, loving the
don't
characters, loving the dialogue. Come on, man.
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying The Departed is a bad film. In fact, I probably now enjoy it more than when I first saw it. Right, but there are things that I find that 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 aren't as good as the original. A, it's too much longer. B, you get too much backstory that I don't really care about. Mark Wahlberg's character is a non-event. It's an absolute pointless character that is literally only there for the final scene. He does nothing through the whole film.
He is a son of a bitch. He is a fucking off for no
I mean,
reason.
don't get me wrong, he has some great lines, right? But it's just so out of the rest of the film. Like, how can this guy work the way he does?
No, how can you even have this job being such a psychopathic asshole? Like I don't
Yeah.
get it. How can you
How can the other guy put up with him all day?
it's nuts. But yeah, Mark Wahlberg was it was funny. But this was kind of like Wahlberg's coming out as a legitimate. Actually, no, Boogie Nights, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, don't get me wrong, his character's really enjoyable and good in it. But if you remove him from the film, he does absolutely nothing apart from that final shot.
How do you feel our four leads? Two from Infernal, two from Departed. How do you think they compare to each other?
As much as I like Leo and Damon, I don't think they were as good as Andy Lau and Tony Leung in these roles.
I will say that there was way more. It was way more ambiguous in terms of Andy Lau, as far as he was way more subtle in the fact that he was kind of back and forth. Is he bad? But he's kind of good.
Yeah, yeah.
Matt Damon, on the other hand, it always seemed to me that he was just bad. I never really got a sense that there was any good in him.
He just had a shifty-looking face, though, didn't he?
It just never seemed like he was really battling with what he was doing, like morally. He always just seemed like a bad guy.
Yeah.
So I think Andy Lau was stronger in that aspect of it.
And I think I felt more sorry for Tony Leung's character because you didn't actually get to see any of his backstory, but you just know he's been in this hellhole for like 10 years.
Yeah, they did the time a lot different. 10 years for his Long's character compared to what DiCaprio was only there for like
a few months.
No, he was
a
year.
year. Yeah,
maybe like 2. Maybe.
Oh, was it? Oh no, did he say at one point I've been in this for 3 years?
About that.
Yeah.
So yeah, big difference. But I guess they couldn't really push it 10. Those two did not look old enough, especially DiCaprio back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lau looked like he was just beaten down by it and just tired.
Exactly. Yeah. So I actually really bought the fact that those two were in those two roles.
Yeah. So
Jack Nicholson, though, different level.
Completely. I think this is one of the reasons why I prefer Departed, because he adds an extra. It's like an extra battery, like a boosted battery pack you add to your phone. Like there was this extra element of energy which I didn't get from the Departed version. what's his name?
You
Eric
not
Zhang. He wasn't menacing to me. I didn't find him scary or intimidating. It's only the guys he had around him that you had to be scared of.
did you
Whereas
not like the whole scene where he's eating like takeaway in the police station and then he just like all over the floor?
that's what he threw his through on the floor. He's wasteful. That's not intimidating. Nicholson, though, even on 1-on-1, you felt like there was he was sinister, like unhinged to a degree.
Well, I was gonna say I don't think he came across as sinister. He's definitely came across as unhinged and a little bit unstable.
There you go. You
But
don't
that's
think he was sinister when he was at the
classic Jack
opera?
Nicholson.
When he's at the opera and you just see the red lights and he just seems to staring psychotically and he's got the two women by his side and he's throwing the cocaine in the bed. He's like, don't, you want coke? Here's coke. Don't get up until you're whatever. Dude, the guy was like a demon.
He was. I mean, like I'll say, he was very good in that role. He did bring an extra dimension to what doesn't exist in the original.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get a better sense of the crew because also you got his right hand man as well. That's what's his name? The English actor. I think I got it written down here somewhere. Ray Winston. Can I forget?
Oh yes, yeah. Mr. French.
Yeah, he just adds more personality to the whole group, the wider world, rather than it just being the two guys, which is good still, but you get a better. It's more layers for me.
There is something that I don't know if it's better or worse, but if you look at The Departed, they essentially rolled the three females from Infernal Affairs into one character.
That was another thing I think was way better because, it added. Actually, I'm gonna let you go into it. Why you think you're better?
I don't know. I'm actually undecided. I don't know if it is better because while I think it is better, it really comes across as convenient and contrived that she's like involved in that kind of level. And I think what really broke it for me was that DiCaprio goes in, screams at her like a madman, and she falls in love with him. Like, he comes across as a complete psycho.
Have you not met a lot of the women in this world that stick with these arseholes?
It was almost like you could see the look on her face. She really just wanted to. She basically wanted to prove herself to him.
That, and there is this thing. There are certain groups of women out there that want to fix the guy, and they feel sorry for these guys who they feel that are bad, but they're not that bad.
But literally, like, he's come and says, "I want drugs from you. I'm that unhinged that I can't sleep from all the terrible things that I keep doing and seeing."
I definitely think it was better. It adds more of that tension between DiCaprio and Damon, having this common thing that they don't really realize that they have in common. And the on the Chinese side of things, those characters seem pretty. They were only there for only particular moments. Like Lao's wife was only there just for that scene where she hears the audio tape.
Well, yeah, I mean, through the whole film, like her only words are, "I don't know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy."
Yeah. Beyond that, she's kind of pointless. And the other one, she has a bit more, the psychiatrist. But again, her most significant thing that happens is in the writing at the end of the movie, which isn't shown, which is just annoying and frustrated the hell out of me when I saw it. So yeah, I think Vera's character is way more of a character, way more of a stronger character.
Absolutely. I completely agree with what you're saying, but it just comes across in the end when you're examining the whole thing. It just comes across as far too convenient. So, but you're absolutely right? Because the three women in the Infernal Affairs literally were there just to serve a purpose.
Yeah,
the third zero character development.
Yeah,
ex-girlfriend.
With a kid that has again leads to nothing except for her being at the funeral.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what they're definitely weaker on the Infernal. What other aspects then stood out to you that I'm just fascinated how you thought Infernal was better? Like, weren't you just?
Oh, no. It's no, absolutely not. I was into it from the moment it started. And I tell you what, I just really like the aesthetic. I really like that sort of muted color palette. I think it's also the fact that the language also draws you in. You can't understand it, but it just sounds so sort of like dangerous and psychotic, like when Eric Sang is just shouting and stuff. You don't know what he's saying apart from like reading like the subtitles.
Yeah, it does feel like Hong Kong, even though it's I think 2002, you can still say 90s. It does have that Hong Kong in the 90s feel.
Yeah. The musical cues and everything were just fantastic. The bit where the guy falls to his death from the top of the tower, that song that plays.
Do prefer Infernal's version of that. I like that he lands on the car, that thing he's
Yeah,
about to
yeah,
get into.
yeah,
That was way more of a surprise rather than it landing in front of DiCaprio. I did like
yeah.
that one a lot better. But yeah, it does stick pretty close considering the various
It's
differences.
yeah, it's amazing actually, because I'd obviously before I'd never seen the two films together, but when you watch them one after the other,
Mm.
there are so many things that are almost identical, and then sometimes almost identical but ever so slightly different.
Yeah, like when they meet up in the cinema and
Yeah,
the guy follows the other dude out, like so much of it was so
yeah.
almost beat by beat. So it's crazy. So to think that it's still like what, almost an hour longer, like 45,
Yeah,
50 minutes saying,
I think 50 minutes on the nose longer.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
considering how close it is together. So that's just more of Mark Wahlberg bitching and ripping holes out of people. And it's everyone it's the witty lines that make it longer. Those sort
It's
of moments, those beats.
I guess the films themselves finish very differently, right? So the original Infernal Affairs, there's no really upcomings for the bad guy.
Comeuppance, yeah.
Yeah, there's like he basically gets away with it. Whereas in The Departed, Mark Wahlberg's one and only contribution to the actual film resolves that plot line.
What do you think of that? What do you think that means? Because it's not
What?
really ever explained. How does it, if he knows that he's a rat, how
Yeah.
does he find out that quickly? And if he's not, is he a plant? Like is he working for someone? Like, he could ask
Well,
so many questions. As
so
to,
so there's that whole bit just came across as a massive plot hole to me, because why does the character of was it Billy DiCaprio,
yeah.
why does he not go to Mark Wahlberg for help in the end?
You can't trust Wahlberg though. That's the problem.
But
He's a
but
loose
Wahlberg's the
cannon.
only person that knows the truth, and the fact that he's no longer there means surely would say to you he's been removed, because obviously he knows the truth.
But maybe that's what they wanted us to think, is that he did go to Wahlberg. That's how Wahlberg knew. Maybe that's how we knew that he was a rat, because no one else seemed to figure it out. So
Well,
maybe,
he must have sent him the tapes,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he must have.
Yeah,
Only
but
way.
it just seems, again, it kind of seems like there's a scene that they could have added there, really.
Yes, yes.
Clear
Just
that
for
up.
him, and for him to just kill the guy like that, not even just to get him arrested or really punish him, but just to wait there in his yard and just shoot him in his head.
Best way to do it, right? Because like, how many times have you seen it in the films where there's like too long a monologue, and then like the bad guy gets the upper hand?
Especially considering all the cops that this guy's is responsible for getting
Yeah,
killed in various ways.
exactly.
Do you know that there was,
Well, basically got his boss, his friend killed as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
extra venom there. Do you know that there was going to be a sequel to The Departed?
Oh, really?
Yeah, the script was written, but
Yeah.
Scorsese had no interest.
What was the sequel going to be about? Because they tied everything up.
No idea.
Yeah.
Never saw the light of day. It could have gone the way of how Infernal did and go back
Yeah.
to the early days of getting into the academy or them
That is
coming out the academy and all of that.
that is a terrible, terrible prequel.
Yeah, it's still
Um,
rated pretty decently, so I might still check it out.
I might check it out if I got nothing to do, because and give it a fair chance. But I just remember it being quite woeful. But one thing what I remember, what does The Departed refer to? Because I actually went and found out what Infernal Affairs means, because that also seems like quite an odd title. But
Mhm.
any idea what The Departed, what they're referring to?
Departed from the path that you originally intended. Maybe it's more on DiCaprio's character, and he intended to be a cop to do the right thing, be clean, and then he was forced to this other lane. Maybe. What do you
Did you
think?
read up? Did you read up what Infernal Affairs means?
I read up on what the Chinese version of it means.
Yeah.
Had
So
it written down.
so in Chinese, the title is called The Unceasing Path,
Yeah.
which essentially is a reference to the lowest level of hell in Buddhism, right? So they go, the English title is actually a wordplay on this. So essentially they go infernal, as in like the infernal damnation of hell,
Mm.
with internal affairs, which is the police department that's
Yeah.
concerned with investigating its own officers. When I read that, I was like, huh, That's so clever, and that's something I'd never realised.
Yeah. So again, Departed could still refer to that because
Yeah,
you are departing from what you originally intended your life to be.
yeah.
Either of them, to a degree. So yeah, I like that.
So
That's actually a lot pretty interesting. Do you know there was a TV show as well?
of what? The Departed?
Yeah. No. Infernal Affairs in
Oh,
China.
Infernal Affairs. Oh, I did not know that.
3 seasons it lasted, and it way bigger as well.
Yeah,
Apparently,
yeah.
not just in
Oh,
Hong Kong. It went to Thailand. It went
yeah.
to some other Asian cities. Like it was supposed to be pretty epic. So I might actually try and look that up if they got
I
something like
I
that.
might have to try and look that up on YouTube or something.
And there's
Um,
going to be a Bollywood version on the way, guys. I'm surprised that there wasn't already. There has to be one already.
talking of versions, did you watch the alternative ending for mainland China?
I forgot. But you told me that Lau gets arrested.
Yeah, so in mainland China, they were not allowed to have the theatrical ending that you saw in Hong Kong and the rest of the world, because essentially you're not allowed to do a film where the bad guy wins.
Hmm.
So in the Chinese version, right at the end, Andy Lau's character actually gets arrested.
So when was the handover? It was in the 90s, wasn't it?
The handover was in '97.
Yeah. So yeah, you would have thought they would have been more thoughtful of what could and couldn't be shown in China.
Well, I mean, you can still have like what you want, but you just have to shoot an alternative ending for like the Chinese mainland. And it literally is like it's you watch it and it's like it happens so quickly. It doesn't seem that different essentially when they come out the lift at the end,
Mm.
instead of walking out the building, basically the police come in and basically like handcuff him and saying, "We found some files. We know you're the mole," and they arrest him, and that's it. And then they cut to like
Yeah. Dude,
the on-screen
are
titles.
you telling me that ending in Infernal wasn't lazy as hell? That after what's his face gets killed and Lau's gotten away with it in the main
Yep.
version. And then he got the funeral, and then it just ends there. And it's just a little write up on the screen that says, "Oh, coincidentally, the psychiatrist was looking through some files and then found the identity that after it's supposed to be erased, just magically found the identity of what's his face." And
I
then,
did find that a little bit odd, actually.
oh, yeah, it's easy. Like they couldn't figure out how to do it on screen, so they just.
But then there is a whole film dedicated to that afterwards. There is a third part where they go into that.
Still lazy though. You don't. They didn't know this was going to be a hit. They didn't know.
Probably not. No, and you are right. It does just suddenly end. But if you watch a lot of like Hong Kong films, they do just suddenly end.
Yeah, I guess. Doesn't justify it. Doesn't make it right. Come on, man.
No, but it's just more like it, like because you sit there going, "Hold on a minute, he's got away with it."
Yeah. So I did love Infernal. I'm not saying that I
Yeah.
didn't. Not being harsh in it. Loved it originally when I saw it, and I still enjoyed it past the halfway point. Yeah. But the party for me, it's just more. Yes, you could say it's indulgent to a degree because it's longer, but I like that. I like really getting into the world and being lived in, and more characters to fall in love with and hate. It's just stronger, way stronger for me.
I will say Infernal Affairs, like I've already said, it was the better film for me. But I did enjoy The Departed more this time round. I no longer think of it as a terrible remake. I now think of it as if you're going to make a remake for the American, or for rather for a Western audience, he's literally added that something extra and wrapped it round in a container that would make more sense for a Western audience.
So you're a little hot. You're a little more softer now on the idea of how
A
a
little bit
remake can be
softer.
done right.
I still don't like remakes. There are times where remakes do work, right? But this whole nonsense of remaking everything is where I'm like now, saying, "Oh, I don't want to do it." But this is like there's always an exception, right? But you look at the majority of remakes and they're horrible.
Yeah, that's true. There was another Scorsese remake actually that we could probably do.
He's done, there's one he made a was it Cape Fear?
Yes. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen either one of them.
You want to do them?
I've never seen the original. I've never seen the Scorsese one. We could do that. What's
never...
Cape Fear about?
It's not a horror. It's more of a thriller.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, it's got Robert De Niro in it,
Yep.
playing psycho, got out of prison, and he goes after this family. Don't want to explain too much. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I don't want to get too deep into it. But I've never seen the original. And I like the idea of sitting down and watching an old black and white.
So the original is from the 60s. Are you going to be capable of being able to focus on a 60s era movie?
Yes, dude. I was watching 60s movies a few months ago. I was going through a bunch of them on Amazon, like all these old movies. I love them.
Yeah, I've got a bunch that I want to watch as well quite shortly. But you found it difficult to sit through a 2002 Hong Kong film,
Which looked like it was from 1992. Come on.
And you're talking about watching a 60s film.
Yeah, easy.
Let's do it then. So next episode, Cape Fear versus Cape Fear.
Let's do it. Guys, what did you think of, what is your favorite from Infernal and The Departed? Are you like me, with common sense, that realizes The Departed is a way superior remake that fixes the problems of the original? Or are you like Mo, in the wrong, and think Infernal Affairs is its noirish style and, foreign language? Are you dazzled by foreign languages? Are you that superficial that you think that makes it a superior film? Let us know, guys. Like and subscribe. Whew. I did actually enjoy this. I'm happy we started off with this one.
Yeah, I think it's all downhill from here, right? I was thinking of other things like RoboCop v RoboCop, Total Recall versus Total
You never saw the remake of RoboCop, did you?
No, I've never seen the remake.
Wow, we got to do. That's unfair, though.
I did. There was the one that also suggested Bullet in the Head v Bullet in the Head.
Yeah, I remember the John Woo one. Wasn't that a war movie?
I don't think it's a war movie. I think something happens. They accidentally kill someone, and then they run off to Vietnam.
I've got that one. Yeah, and it doesn't. I was actually skeptical that they were actually the same movie. It wasn't just a title, so I might have to look into that one.
Yeah, I'll have a look into. Yeah.
So yeah, guys, if you only listen to this on the podcast feed, go check out Vulture Network on YouTube. Actually, I think I should update the description so that you'll link properly into the YouTube page.
Yes.
Yeah, go look at that. Give us thumbs up, like, subscribe, all of that. So from me, Eddie Reese.
From me, Mo.
See you guys later.
See you, folks.